Right, joining us now to discuss BTC price and more is Lark Davis, crypto analyst and author of Wealth Mastery Investor Report. Hi, Lark. Thanks for joining us. So I couldn't help but notice that you just recently tweeted that Bitcoin will be worth $1 million. And I want to have you walk us through this because it's looking pretty down in the dumps right now.
Sure, absolutely. We're going through an accumulation phase right now for Bitcoin. That's no one's in doubt about that. We've entered a very bearish period for the market. Most investors are running away from risk right now, and the entire crypto sector is looked at as risk. I mean, look at the price of gold's going up, the dollar index is going up. People are looking for safe havens in this time of extreme uncertainty at a global level. We have the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, all of the unknown consequences of what's happening with basically taking the world's 11th biggest economy out of the global financial system with a cutoff from SWIFT, most of the major credit networks, payment networks, and all this stuff. So there's a lot of things that are unwinding right now in the markets, right? And stock markets are getting hit very hard as well. It's not just the cryptocurrency markets. But will Bitcoin be worth $1 million one day? It's the question is zooming out and trying to understand what the asset is that you're actually investing in. Yes, I do believe Bitcoin will be worth $1 million one of these days, just not any day soon. Maybe it's by 2030, maybe sometime in the 2030s. But if you zoom back 5 years, 7, 8 years ago, nobody believed Bitcoin would be at the prices that they are today.
Why do you think it will be worth $1 million?
Why worth $1 million? Because we're looking at intense digital scarcity for Bitcoin. There's only 21 million of them. We see rising demand all the time. Those charts that you just shared, right? The number of people holding Bitcoin in non-zero addresses. People keep buying Bitcoin. Look, we're not in a parabolic rise phase right now for the number of new Bitcoin addresses, but that is rising all the time. We are seeing new users coming into the network, and every person who buys $10, $50, $100 worth of Bitcoin, that adds up. All these whales, that adds up. All the institutional players, that adds up. And there's only 21 million. The supply available right now from miners is being outstripped by demand even at these current levels. And as we see moving forward into the next halving and the halving after that and halving after that, by 2032, we're looking at less than 1 Bitcoin per block being produced. At a time when by 2032, demand's going to be extremely higher than it is right now. Remember, the prediction is that we are going to see 3.4 billion users in crypto by 2030. Now, even if that prediction is only half right, if it's only half right, that's an incredible growth in users for the network. It's really probably the only statistic that you need to know as an investor. We have billions more people coming into the cryptocurrency market, and most of those people are going to be getting exposure to Bitcoin.
Lark, do you think it'll be mostly used as a store of value or payments?
I think we'll see a bit of a mix of both, but I imagine most people are looking at Bitcoin as a store of digital value. I think that's where we're seeing a lot of the use case coming in right now. A lot of the big investors are looking at it like that. There's obviously very important aspects of Bitcoin as being censorship-resistant money, being able to come in and out of areas that have heavy capital controls. We've seen this in a lot of countries, from Argentina to Lebanon to Venezuela. Now we're going to see it a lot in Russia as they've instituted heavy capital controls internally in Russia, making it now illegal to send hard currency out of the country and implementing a 30% tax on conversions of rubles to dollars or euros. So we're going to see definitely people using Bitcoin to transfer money around the world. And if we talk about direct payments, we will see more cases like El Salvador, where people are able to use the Bitcoin network to process payments via layer 2 at the Lightning Network level.
It's interesting to see just regular day users accumulating Bitcoin in a time of war, but also in the case of Ukraine, using it as a faster, cheaper, more efficient payment system to get supplies as they're trying to defend themselves. Just turning to price, Lark, I wonder, what is your short to long-term outlook? Say, where will the price be in 3 to 6 months compared to the end of the year?
Well, I think right now it's all about the Fed. And I broke down an analysis of what a Federal Reserve rate hike has meant in the past. And look, of course, what happens in the past does not necessarily determine the future, but history does often rhyme. And in the last 5 Federal Reserve rate hikes, every single one of those scenarios, in spite of the fact that a few of the times we did have a brief rally just after the rate hikes were announced, in every single time, all 5 times, the last 5 rate rises, and this is back to the 80s, right? I think it's not much useful to look too far back in history because we've got new markets now, but the last 5 rate hikes, they've all dumped. They've all dumped, and it's taken, on average, 18 weeks to get back to the pre-hike normal, not to the highs, just to where we were before the hike. So we could be looking at, a multi-month accumulation period where the markets remain generally risk averse, and we will see prices stagnating potentially for a few months now, going through into 2022. Does that mean we get a new high by the end of the year if things start turning around? Well, it's possible, but regardless of whether we get a new high this year or not, I will just keep accumulating Bitcoin.
Yep. So it seems like there's a lot of just uncertainty out there. What's your strategy to navigate through this uncertainty?
Well, what I'm doing primarily is just reducing risk in my cryptocurrency portfolio. And, that means not looking at too many speculative altcoins, but looking primarily at the big boys, right? I'm mostly just accumulating Bitcoin right now, a little bit of Ethereum as well, and keeping a very strong position in dollars and using those dollars to be earning yield to then accumulate more Bitcoin throughout this bearish period that we are going through.